Live from Studio G, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. Here we go into another brand new hour on a beautiful Friday. But I have a warning for you. The Steve Gruber Show often results in extended periods of American pride, American optimism, and uncontrollable enthusiasm for the future of this great country. Kicking off the live broadcast, Dan Real America's Voice, MTN, and other networks, and we're reaching a growing global audience. This is the Steve Gruber Show, a no-panic zone. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, inflation is falling to levels that were not expected as prices on critical items like food, gas, and other essentials have dropped, which means the cost of living going down as well. Number two, Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer looked awfully awkward in the Oval Office this week. She was praised by Donald Trump. Very odd. Whitmer is under attack for even being here by Democrats. And number three, great news. It's Free for All Friday. It's your chance to weigh in, America. It's all powered by Patriot Mobile. Of course it is. The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline is open for business. 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. The Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative mobile network, is Patriot. Glad to have you here, man. I was gone on vacation last week. This week, it's been a roller coaster, hasn't it? The stock market up, the stock market down. Down yesterday, about even today. And anyhow, we're going to start with this. Inflation is falling in Donald Trump's America. That is good news. They seem stunned over in La La Land like a chicken noodle news. Listen.
Consumer prices month over month. So this was actually a drop of 0.1%, negative 0.1%. That's the first time we've seen that since COVID. Year over year, the annual inflation rate was at 2.4%. This was also better than expected and a 6-month low, moving in the right direction. As far as why this happened, there's a few drivers. One thing that really played a role here, as you can see the trend here, the inflation rate dipping a little bit. One of the drivers was energy. The fact that gasoline prices did not move up like they usually do in the month of March, that really helped the inflation.
In fact, gas prices, I'm going to look at it right now for you, are on their way down. Yes, the national average, $3.21. A year ago, it was $3.63. We're 42 cents below where we were a year ago, and gas prices getting better because oil is right at about $60 a barrel, $60 a barrel. So that's pretty remarkable. Let's get to the phone line, shall we? Let's start in the great state of Florida. Mark, first in line today. Mark, welcome to it. Kick us off.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Hey, I just wanted to ask you, what can you and I do to help RFK Jr. with this fornication between the NIH and the pharmaceutical companies?
What do you mean? I mean, obviously, it's a big concern. Look, everybody, and it's not just that. The pharmaceutical lobbyists, there are many on Capitol Hill making piles of money. So when they go in and they say, hey, we want to push this drug. I mean, they've got Ozempic, this obesity drug. They're now pushing it on kids 5 and 6 years old. I mean, if you've got an Ozempic patient paying $900 a month, $1,000 a month, and they're 6 years old, they're going to pay for the rest of their lives? That's a pretty good cash flow, isn't it? Pretty good cash flow. Not sure where he went. So we'll leave it there for now. Mark, thank you for starting things off. In the great state of West Virginia, we've got Steve checking in. Steve, how are you this fine day?
I'm doing well, Steve. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I mean, I love talking to you guys. I do. It's my way to say, hey, what's happening in Florida or West Virginia or Michigan or Indiana or Pittsburgh, all these places, right? We get to check the whole country. What's on your mind?
Yes, and I appreciate you taking my phone call. I had some concerns, how quick the Americans choose to forget things in the past of what the administration had done to them. The little things, like taking away your toilet paper, handing out money, and yet Donald Trump, he's supposed to fix all this overnight. Well, he's only human. I mean, he's going to get the stuff right. He's got our backs.
I think you're right. But I think what you're referring to, Steve, and I think this is interesting, and I don't disagree with you. Thank you for the call. The Democrats out there, he hasn't brought down the price of eggs. Actually, he has, about $1 a dozen so far and doing better. The price of gasoline is getting better. Inflation, as you just saw from Chicken Noodle News, 2.4%. Lowest it's been in years, 2.4%. And energy is the foundation for that. Big, important word for the state of West Virginia, by the way. Energy, coal. Really important. They had all those coal miners in from West Virginia here just a few days ago, signing an executive order to expand the use of coal in America. We are going to expand American energy, whether it's coal, oil, natural gas, whatever it is. We're going to do better in America and power this country. Steve in Idaho, you're next. How are you?
Good morning. Welcome back to the land of the working.
Thank you very much. I didn't mind my time off, but I always love being back. I love Free for All Friday. What's on your mind out there in the great state of Idaho?
A couple things. One, we are going to expand our coal production.
Right.
Do you think we have China over a barrel now?
Well, I mean, let's be fair about this. If you look to West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Wyoming, I don't know how much coal mining you have in Idaho. There's some in Montana. There's some in some different places. We have more than anybody else. The state of Wyoming's loaded with natural gas and coal, for example, right in your neighborhood. Would you have more of a barrel? No, but we have better coal. They burn Mongolian coal. The biggest coal mine in the world is in Mongolia. And they run these giant Mack trucks. I mean, these trucks are big enough to put a football field in the back end. That run 24 hours a day from this mine in Mongolia to the Chinese border where they dump the coal. But it's not good coal, shall we say. So I'm optimistic about American energy. Steve, what about you?
I think so. I got one other thing, too. Whatever happened to Fort Knox?
Lovely place. I don't know.
We were going to go in there and take a reconnoiter.
Well, again, nobody's been inside and actually looked at it since 1974. I don't know what's inside Fort Knox. If anybody's going to do it, it could be him. But if he knows something that we don't, maybe he says, yeah, let's not show him that. I don't know what to make of that. Steve, thank you for checking in today. Greatly appreciate it. Let's go to Tom in Michigan, my home state. Lovely place. Tom, how are you?
Good. How you doing today? We missed you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back. I do love Scott Bertram for filling in from Hillsdale College, also here in Michigan. But what's on your mind, Tom?
Well, they have this rally going in Waterford on Tuesdays and Thursdays about Elon Musk and Trump being fascists and all this. And I went up and talked to them. And they get right in your face and start putting their signs in your face because I had the camera going. And I just asked them, I said, where in the Constitution does it ever say democracy? It's a republic. We're a
doesn't say it anywhere,
republic,
in fact.
and these people lost their mind.
Yeah, it doesn't say it anywhere in the Constitution. Hand them a copy of it. Of course, they're not familiar with the Constitution any more than Jasmine Crockett is, so you got that problem. Go ahead.
Anyway, I told them the Pledge of Allegiance says we're a says for the republic which we
for
stand.
which we stand,
republic.
one nation under God. That's right. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, thank you very much. By the way, Charlie Kirk will be on the campus of Michigan State University today with his Turning Point USA efforts, noon to 3 for anybody in that part of the country. Charlie Kirk, Michigan State today. I'll be right back. Hi, Like I mentioned, Charlie Kirk will be on the campus of Michigan State University. I'll be down there with him today. We'll do some interviews for today's version of America's Voice Live. You can catch me every afternoon, by the way, on Real America's Voice on AVL. America's Voice Live happens from 3 to 4 every afternoon. You can catch it there. You'll enjoy what you find there. It's a little bit different program than this. More of a news program, I guess, and less conversation. That's thing one. Thing two, I need your help still trying to sort out what's going on X. You may call it Twitter still. I need a little bit of information on X because we're trying to figure out what's happening there with the numbers of people. We're getting thousands of followers and no conversions, thousands of looks, no conversions of followers. Go there and follow me is what I'm saying. And follow me on Facebook, too. We're checking these two platforms, X and Facebook, to try to figure out what's going on. We're growing the movement, but I need your help, okay? Okay. Let's go back to the phone lines on this Free for All Friday, powered by Patriot Mobile. Todd is in Indiana, where they're going to build a brand new Honda plant, by the way. Todd, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
What's on your mind?
Hey, I've got a little bit of a question here. Everybody's talking about Social Security is going to be bankrupt, broke here in 2 or 3 more years. And at the same time, the Democrats are losing their mind because of Trump and Elon trying to cut the budget and getting into Social Security and cutting out the waste and fraud.
Sure.
And nobody's saying a word about, let's do something about getting rid of this ridiculous retirement fund for Congress where they get paid for life.
I agree with you on that. You know what, Todd? Thanks for the phone call. I agree with you. Here's the point. I think that anything that we're subjected to, Congress should be, if Congress passes a law, and it doesn't always work this way, if Congress passes a law, it should apply equally to you, to me, to everyone, especially them. They shouldn't have some special retirement plan. You know, if you serve 3 terms, you have a retirement plan, health insurance for life, for serving 6 years. What other job in the world can you serve and work just 6 years and have a lifetime guarantee that you're getting a paycheck and your health insurance is covered? Come on. 6 years. Who wouldn't take that gig? Oh, and by the way, you might have a little bit of information on insider trading. And yes, that goes for all members of Congress because they get information you and I do not, which allows them to turn a $175,000 a year job into something much more profitable and lucrative. Paul is in Pittsburgh. I really appreciate the call, Todd. Thank you. Paul is in Pittsburgh. Paul, good morning. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I missed you the last couple of weeks. I love Free for All Fridays, but
greatly appreciate that.
I really want to follow you. But I'm having a difficult time with that. I'm not sure how to go about that. I'm not all that smart about that. But anyway, Steve, really, my issue is this morning these 2 judges that ruled against this, that kind of went up against the Supreme Court in these deportation of these illegal immigrants, especially these violent ones. Who the hell do they think they are?
Let me jump in there, Paul, and I want to talk to you about this for a second. So I saw a political cartoon yesterday that really summed this up quite well. You see, federal district judges were never supposed to have this kind of power to drop national, to issue a national order. An injunction that enjoins the entire nation. Can you imagine? This was the cartoon. A guy walking into Abraham Lincoln and saying, "I'm sorry, sir, but a district judge in Washington has nullified the Emancipation Proclamation." Doesn't work that way. Never has supposed to work that way, right? Go ahead.
No, but, it's like this Boasberg. Who the hell does he think he is? You only have so many miles of your jurisdiction, and yet he's trying to
that's exactly right.
Go up against the Supreme Court? Come on.
In effect, Boasberg is a local judge. He has a district. You're right, and there are boundaries on that district. He's not the Supreme Court. Even the courts of appeal, like the 9th Circuit, the 7th Circuit, the 6th, they apply to a certain group of states. And sometimes you'll see the 9th Circuit has a decision that's in opposition to the 5th Circuit. right? And then it has to go to the Supreme Court. But the Fifth Circuit can't impose its will on the entire nation, or the Ninth Circuit on the entire nation. But these district court judges think they can. It's an absolute outrage. Paul, you're exactly right. Great call.
Steve.
Go ahead.
I know you have to take other callers, but his daughter is an attorney.
That's right.
Protecting these illegals.
Also true. Paul, you've hit some great points.
Himself.
He should, but they won't. They have so much hubris, they won't. Paul, great call. You're exactly right. These are district judges. They have a district. And the district is not the United States of America. All right. Don is in Ohio. Don, welcome to it. How are you?
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. What's on your mind?
It's good to see you're back, and it's been a while since I called in, but and I think the cabinet is a great cabinet, but I don't understand why the AG hasn't gone after some of this low-hanging fruit.
For example,
Fauci lied. The former Homeland Security Secretary lied to Congress. That's low-hanging fruit. They should be indicted.
What do you think is going to happen when they dig into Adam Schiff, the J6 investigation? What do you think about the Hunter Biden laptop being deep sixed? What do you think about all of the? There's a lot there, and there's a lot of low hanging fruit. I mean, if you're walking through an orchard, you'd be banging your forehead. There's so much low hanging fruit. To be honest with you, Don, you're exactly right. And look, again, she's only been on the job about a month. So let's give everybody some time to do some things right here, Don. Don, greatly appreciate it. God bless Ohio. A former swing state, now bright red. They figured it out. Maybe the rest of America can figure it out right along with Ohio. What do you think? Still to come, Pat in Illinois, Jim in Michigan, Ron in California, all still in queue here, plus maybe you, 877-310-9966. That's the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. I'll be right back. You have certainly heard a lot about tariffs in the last few days. A lot of these tariffs are applied on American agricultural products, meaning that companies in foreign countries dump their products here in America and the American farmer gets screwed. Has been happening my entire life. My next guest, Adam Lalone here from PatriotFoods.com. He's fighting for the American farmer. PatriotFoods.com is an all-American website. There's nothing on there that doesn't come from America. He's with me now. He's got a couple of specials for us. Adam, good morning, and thank you for being here.
Good morning, Steve. What an exciting time to be living in this great country of ours, right?
Oh,
I tell you, we got stuff on sale. We got stuff on sale, my friend. It's unbelievable. And hey, we're carrying lamb now, Steve. Turkey,
I like lamb.
Oh man, chicken leg quarters. I mean, the store is growing. Support from your listeners, unbelievable. And I want to showcase a couple items we have here this morning, Steve.
Go ahead and grab them.
We have these hot chili peppers. Hey, they're out of Kentucky. Edna, Amish lady. I met her and her daughters.
Hold it right up.
In a gas station parking lot.
Yep.
They have a horse and buggy parked there. And I tried some products. And I said, hey, I got to get you on my store. So this is a beautiful family out of Kentucky, guys. And they do a beautiful job. It's all homemade stuff.
There you go. Give me another one. All right, there's the hot peppers. Very nice. Give me another one. Grab one there.
And I tell you, she has her own section on her stores. So, hey, we all like peanut butter, right? Raw honey, peanut butter. Apple butter. I mean, bread and butter, pickles, Steve. The list goes on and on. I mean, here's the pickles. I'm telling you, she just does a fantastic job.
There you go.
And,
Amish quality out of Kentucky. And that's just an example of what Adam has on his website. It's patriotfoods.com. Patriotfoods.com. It's all American farmers. Right now, they've got a ground beef sale. Buy 10, get 3 pounds free. 10 pounds, get 3. Everything you want to know is right there. We are fighting for the American farmer. We're fighting for Adam Malone and his crew. Look, Donald Trump is going to help break down the barriers, but until we get there, we need to support and buy local. Adam Malone, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks.
There you have it. All right. PatriotFoods.com, my friends. We're fighting for the American farmer. When I get back, Pat, Jim, Ron, Mike, Paul, and so many more coming your way here. It's Free for All Friday. You know, I should hook Adam up with 1775 coffee. That's what I drink every day, 1775coffee.com. It's just terrific coffee. It's what fires us up every day here, firing on all cylinders. Glad to have you on 1775coffee.com. I almost didn't say it. Thank you for being here. Pat has been on the phone from Illinois, waiting patiently. Patricia, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
First of all, I want to say I'm so grateful that President Trump is our president. I would hate to think what our country would be like without him.
No, we saw it for 4 years. It was ugly. Anyhow, go on.
Right. We live in the state. I live in the state of Illinois, who has wonderful Governor Pritzker.
Oh, yeah.
And he is just unbelievable. You know, when they say the gas prices are going down, my gas prices have been going up because we have received a new tax in our state. I don't know if it's true or not, but I was talking with my son, and he says because it's another way to take care of our illegal immigrants in the state.
I heard the same thing about Illinois. Another new tax to pay for illegals, another $1 billion or two. Well, Illinois is broke, by the way. You know, Illinois is not broke. Illinois is a beautiful state. It really is. You got the Mississippi River on the western side, and it's got great farm fields and hardwood forests. And then you've got Cook County. What a disaster that has turned out to be, right?
That is. Chicago seems to rule our state.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are not Democratic.
Yeah, it's sad,
But I'm very frustrated because our gas prices have gone up a good almost 50 cents. Where everybody else is going up, going down, we're going up.
Well, you know, I'm looking here. You're 50 cents again. In fact, if you go to gasprices.AAA.com, anybody can go do this. I do it every day for you. Illinois is the big red state in the middle of all the other states that have cheaper gas. Let's see, Indiana's 30 cents cheaper. Missouri's a lot cheaper. Missouri's at $2.89. Iowa's at below $2 or below $3 at $2.99. In Illinois, no, you're at $3.50. Nice work. I'm sorry about that, but you're right. You got Pritzker. He's going to run for president. I got to jump, Patricia. He's going to run for president. I'm sorry he won't win, but at least we'll know what he is. Thank you for checking in. Greatly appreciate you. I do. She's frustrated. Why wouldn't you be? You've got this big Democratic machine grinding up the people and the taxpayers every day. Why wouldn't you be frustrated? Jim is in Michigan. We're frustrated with our governor. Our governor was in the Oval Office this week, but looking very uncomfortable, Jim. Gretchen Whitmer looked very awkward in the Oval Office. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Steve. I really appreciate you
Thank
and all
you.
the information I get at your show. The only thing, I'm on with Don from Ohio. When are they going to start holding these crooked politicians accountable for their crimes against humanity and the American people?
Great question. I mean, the more you know about Anthony Fauci, look, Bobby Kennedy wrote The Real Anthony Fauci, the book. And you can connect the dots on all the places he's been and all the organizations he's been involved with and all the money he has extracted from the American taxpayer to put to use doing God only knows what. And you've got to realize that a lot of this money just ends up in people's pockets. I mean, are we really doing studies on transgender mice? I doubt it. You know, here's $1 million for transgender mice. $500,000 goes into somebody's pocket, and they spend 50 cents on some bogus research thing to write a paper. Come on now. But I'll say the same thing to you, Jim, that I said to Don. Give him a moment here. I mean, she's only been on the job 30 days. Kash Patel, I mean, how much do you think Kash Patel has to sort out to get to the bottom of what's going on so many different cases? I mean, give him a chance to, and remember, they're probably being blocked, papers being shredded, stuff being hidden behind this door or that door, lack of cooperation from these people that don't want to be caught with their hand in the cookie jar, obviously. So there's a lot of obstacles. So it takes, it's not just that you accuse somebody of something. You got to get the conviction. Jim, great call. Thank you. Let's go to Ron in California, way out west, up early today with the Steve Gruber Show. Ron, welcome to it.
Hey, buddy. Hey, you know, I watch Rav TV all day, and you are my favorite host, for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you very much.
Steve. And when you get Ivy on there, there's no touching you.
Well, I get it. I get it. Thank you very much. What's on your mind?
So anyways, if people want to complain, gas in California out here is about $4.56. Yeah, you want to talk about crappy governors? Well, I think we take the cake there. And But Steve, I've done some research. I went undercover with the county elections and talked to both the chief registrar of voters, who are the head of the elections. And California is actually a red state with a Smurf blue overcoat. And I wear my Trump hat everywhere, and I'm getting more 60, 70%. I like your hat more than the lunatics screaming at me. It's usually women. But it's all in the signature verification. But the way we could beat it, we have to inundate the county elections, all the jobs while they're doing the counting. In the county, it's all been Democrats. 90% Democrats are working all these positions at the polling locations. So we have to start early, and everybody start applying.
And this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to jump in here, Ron. I greatly appreciate the call. You can't just sit and grouse on the couch. You got to get involved. And you got to get your friends involved, your wife involved, your husband involved, whatever. Go get involved. Be a poll watcher to whatever extent. And, yeah, you're going to be frustrated there, too. There can be things that happen that drive you absolutely berserk, but you've got to get involved. You can't just sit and complain. If you want to be part of the process, be part of the solution. Ron is exactly right. Great call from the West Coast. Ron, thank you. And I'm glad I'm your favorite. I am. Mike in New York, you're next here. Good morning. Welcome to it.
Hi, Steve.
Hello. What's on your mind?
I got a little question. A few days ago, I heard there was over like 100,000 Chinese nationals that came across our border and they don't know where they are. Shouldn't they be looking on the properties that China owns here in the country since they're next to our
military bases and you've got agricultural ground, you got military base. That's a pretty good point you've made right there. I mean, honestly, you find a lot of them on the campus of places like the University of Michigan and so forth. But if they're here illegally and they're not going to school, I think you've made a great point. Yeah, great point.
You think the Chinese would be making places on those properties to hide them.
Yeah, you'd think. Good point, Mike. We need to expand the search. Mike, thank you so much. We got time to get Paul in from North Carolina, from the Tar Heel State. Here's Paul. Paul, welcome to it.
Well, thanks for taking my call, Steve. What I wanted to do was to add to the MAGA platform another acronym, and it's called MAGQUA. It's MAQUA, which means Make American Quality Again, because all the stuff that has been made overseas is garbage, and it's not made to last.
It's true.
We're just blowing through our resources and throwing it all in the trash.
That's true. Filling our dumpsters. You know, and thanks for the call. Greatly appreciate it. When I was a kid growing up, my grandfather, my mother's dad, my grandfather from Hillsdale, Michigan, said, if it says made in Japan, don't buy it. It's junk. Well, you think a lot of what Donald Trump said about Japan back in the 90s, intertrace it with China now? It's all true. Japan was screwing us then. China's screwing us now. Time to get back on track, all right? More Free for All Friday straight ahead.
At the Michigan Chamber, we're on a mission to
Now, I know you see me sitting. You see me sitting here drinking coffee all morning. Look, I like coffee. I've liked coffee for a very long time, but I learned a lot about coffee recently, and I used to go on occasion to this coffee company that has this big green logo, right? And I thought, well, black oily beans is the way it's supposed to be. No. In fact, that's completely wrong. The reason they're black oily beans is because they can't get a single source. So they basically overcook the coffee. They burn it, put an oil on it, so it just kind of evens it all out. And that's what you end up with. Not true for what we drink around here, 1775 coffee. Some coffee's weak, some coffee's corporate. Then there's 1775 coffee. It's bold, it's high quality, it's built for those who refuse to compromise, like me. Hand-picked, high-altitude, single-origin beans, roasted to perfection. No toxins, no shortcuts. Look, it's just damn good coffee. How do I know? Because I drink it every single day right here. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. In fact, we were drinking this coffee before we became pals, all right? Damn good coffee. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. Save 10%. And I want the feedback from you. So please don't sit on the sidelines. When I ask you to support the people that support this program, it makes this program possible, including Free for All Friday. So thank you. Debbie is in Pennsylvania. Ladies, welcome to the program, Debbie.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I've heard on the news several times now that the Democrats want to assassinate Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Do they realize if they succeed, this country will see a civil war the likes of which they have never seen?
Well, you know, look, the guy, Routh is his name, just indicted in Florida, facing attempted murder charges. You know, and here's what's aggravating about that case, is that we have learned now that the Biden administration slow-walked that whole deal. This is the guy that was on the golf course in Florida, right? And it was in the fence, in the shrubbery. He got shot at and missed by Secret Service agents. He was laying in wait. He was trying to get RPGs. He was trying to get other heavy equipment to kill our president. It's all true.
He wanted to take his airplane out of the sky.
Yeah, it's all true. Anyhow.
Well, so the Democrats want to assassinate Trump and Musk.
Well, they do.
And they will get a civil war on their hands.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's true of all Democrats, first of all. I think that's true of a radical fringe. Debbie, thank you for the phone call. There is a radical fringe out there that would kill any president just for the notoriety. You know, some guy thinks he's going to be John Wilkes Booth and he'll live in the history books forever. Dead, but live forever in the history books. It's a twisted thing. Let's go to Ed in Illinois, our second caller from Illinois today. Of course, we heard about J.B. Pritzker. Ed, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Steve? Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know what? I'm just glad that they're looking into the Social Security numbers. For years, you know, here in Illinois, I've known some with our numbers. You know, almost.
We're having some trouble with your phone line there.
We all know it.
Hold on. Your phone keeps breaking up. But here's what I think you're saying, and tell me if I'm right. You've seen the number of Social Security numbers that were handed out to illegal aliens over the last several years, especially during the Biden administration. It was 200,000 one year, 500,000. It's several million is what it added up to because it kept going up higher and higher and higher. Several million Social Security numbers given out to illegal aliens. Is that the concern?
That's a big part of the concern, and the other part, while they're they need these people to work. Well,
all right, we got to stop that. All right, so Ed, I'm sorry, but your phone for some reason is cutting out intermittently, and I'm getting about half of what you're saying. But look, do we need people to work in this country? Yes, we do. Is there an organized way to do it? Yes, there is. It's called the immigration system of the United States. We just have to follow the law. It's not that hard. It's been going on my entire life until they became completely lawless. And let's talk about this. Voter ID. The SAVE Act. I believe every single Democrat voted against the SAVE Act. And then they go out and they kick and they scream and they cry and they say, well, my God, these people can't get IDs to vote. It's racist. These people of color, these women, they'll never be able to vote. Really? Really? How is that? These people like Jasmine Crockett and AOC and others on the left will tell you, apparently the people of color and women are not smart enough to get a driver's license. I don't believe that. You don't believe that. Hell, they don't believe that. Anyhow, it's outrageous. Ed, we'll figure out your phone sometime next time around. John in Florida. How are you, sir?
Hey, Steve. Thanks for taking my call. Big fan of your show.
Thank you.
Steve, I'm going to rain on your parade a little bit today.
All right.
And here's my thoughts. Doge was implemented to combat fraud, corruption.
Yes.
The tariff wars is basically to single out all the bad actors. I'm going to take you back in history and who the bad actors really are. The biggest heist in modern day history. And let me tell you, 2007, 2008 financial crisis. Two companies by the name of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac were force-fed a $170 billion loan, basically to unfreeze the credit markets. $310 billion of that was paid back. So the loan was virtually paid back, admitted by a lot of people in Congress, Senate, et cetera.
All right.
The government, the Treasury, issued themselves 79.9% of these two companies in warrants for a value of $78,000. Follow me, Steve. The reason they didn't take 80% because $7 trillion would have been added onto the balance sheet of the deficit. The loan has been paid back. Bill Pulte goes on TV 2 days ago on the Ingraham Show, says that the government still owns 79.9% of these companies. These companies are the only two that have not been released since conservatorships in 2008. Reason being, cash cows, they funded Obamacare, et cetera. Take a deep dive, and you'll see for yourself.
Well, it's not raining on my parade, John. I got to leave it there because I'm up against time, but I'm going to say one more thing about this. Cash cow is exactly right, first of all. Second cash cow that you didn't mention that is also worthy of great examination are called student loans. Forgive student loans so you can give more. It's a cash cow. It's a cash flow issue. And that happened during Barack Obama's tenure as well, when 99% of the student loans in this country went to the United States government. And then they were giving that money primarily to state universities and institutions. And the price of college went way up. And then these kids are on the hook forever. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. They got to pay their monthly student loan bill back. It's a cash flow deal. Thanks for the call. We'll have more after the break. Michael and more on the Steve Gruber Show. We were talking about college here. You know, there is one college that I'm aware of, a couple, but one for sure that takes no money from the government, will take no federal student loans, and that is Hillsdale College. In fact, they'll even give you an education for free. It's true. They have 40 free online courses on the great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution, and so many more things that you can find out. I encourage you to do that. And you can go to gruberforhillsdale.com. Won't charge you a penny. In fact, I'm going to basically give you your tutor waiver right now. Your tuition waiver, that is. Go to gruberforhillsdale.com. gruberforhillsdale.com. Check it out. Share it with people you know and love. All right. Michael is in Ohio here on this Free for All Friday. Michael, good morning.
Yeah, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you. I just turned 79 4 days ago, and before I went to Vietnam, I bought a Galaxy 390 Ford for $3,900, and when I stopped in Japan, the same car, they had it for $14,000, and the Japanese salesman says, reason we got a $10,000 surcharge, so we don't want our people to buy American cars.
That's exactly right. And for anybody who does
and
not understand the tariffs, go ahead.
And another thing I want to say, Trump is talking about the jobs going overseas. Well, John Deere in Iowa, they're going to move their plant to Mexico, so Trump should put a 50% tariff on John Deere and another 50%. There's like 5,000 jobs are going to be lost.
I think that already ended. I'll have to look into that, Michael. I'm going to, and congratulations. Happy birthday, by the way, my friend, and thank you for the time you spent watching out for us. Greatly appreciate it. Michael in Ohio. The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline is 877-310-9966. We'll continue to take your calls. I've got Dan and Jennifer and so many more coming up in the next hour. You don't want to miss any of this. 877-310-9966 is the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. Remember to do me that favor. Follow me on X, Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. We're doing an experiment on social media. Please follow. Support this. Become part of the movement. It is the Steve Gruber Show. Free for All Friday continues in a few minutes. Live from Studio G and fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day. We're diving into another brand new hour of the program. Man, it seems like a busy week, doesn't it? So much going on. Whiplash on Wall Street. I've got a warning for you, though. This program can result in extended periods of American pride and optimism and uncontrollable enthusiasm about the future. Live in all 50 states and around the world. Look, it's a dirty job. But I checked Mike Rowe ain't here, so I'm going to do it. Here are 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1. A half dozen people killed in a bizarre, fatal helicopter crash in D.C. The whole thing just broke apart in the air. Number 2, newly surfaced studies may prove that I have been right for years on the timing of COVID. A new report says it was in Wuhan, October 2019. I said it was in this country before Thanksgiving 2019. Uh-oh. Steve was right again. And number 3, great news. It's Free-for-All Friday. Your chance to weigh in, America, all powered by Patriot Mobile. The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline is open for business. 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. Rush used to call it Open Lines Friday. We call it Free-for-All Friday. And I'm going to go straight to the phone lines. Dan has been patient in the state of Maine. By the way, we're live in the state of Maine on the Lobster Network. Several stations in Maine take us every night at 6 o'clock now. So if you're in Maine, good news.
Hi,
Dan,
Steve.
welcome to the program.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's an honor to be on your show. Thank you for allowing me on. I just want to make a point here. I'm in the VA healthcare system here, and they do a phenomenal job. They're wonderful. I mean, they're just from A to Z. They cover everything.
All
but
right.
for the last 4 years, I had to walk out of that facility and look up on the wall and see the picture of Joe Biden. It's gone on. Now, here we are in April, and I don't see Trump's picture up here yet. It really pisses me off.
Did you say anything to him? You say, hey, where's the picture of the president? Dan, did I lose you?
Yes, sir.
I was just going to say, do you ever ask them, where's the picture of Donald Trump? Do you ever ask them where the president's picture is?
No, but I will now.
Attaboy. Hey, and
I
you know
didn't know
what?
who that.
Once
it really
you do
bothered
that,
me. It really has bothered me.
yeah, if it bothers you, say, hey, look, you serve this country. You have a right to say, hey, where's my commander-in-chief? I mean, the oath that you took, Dan, it doesn't
expire. We went
expire.
from the guy who would want to totally destroy this country to the man who's saving it.
Exactly. Amen,
And he's
my
not
friend.
there. He should be in every office, not just on the wall when you leave it.
Exactly. Well, Dan, do let us know how that turns out, would you please?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you
Be
very
glad to,
much.
Steve.
Greatly appreciate it. All right, coming up next, a woman who has an opinion from time to time. Jennifer from Michigan is here. Jennifer, good morning.
Hello.
How are you, Jennifer?
Oh, now that I'm talking to you, much better.
Good.
Much better.
Good.
Listen, Steve, I have talked to about 15 to 20 young people that have been submitting resumes on a weekly and monthly basis. Some have submitted 50 to one kid who told me he submitted 150 in 1 month resumes and jobs. No one calls back. They never get a call back for an interview. So there's some hanky-panky going on here. I would really appreciate it if somebody would look into it. I have heard that the Fortune 500 companies have hired people in foreign countries by the thousands to do computer work for them. I have also heard that any resume that you submit is run through AI?
Yeah, AI.
And if it rejects, it goes through and just rejects resumes they don't like. But these are young people that have good backgrounds, good resumes. I don't know what's going on. They are so depressed. This has been going on for over a year.
We better find out about
So
it,
if
Jennifer.
you
I'm
could
going to
check
dig.
into it, God bless you, sweetheart.
God bless you, and thank you for calling. All right, so anybody listening, you heard what she said. Do you know a young person who has a good resume, a good background, a good work ethic? I mean, if you send out 150 resumes in a month, I mean, you're doing it. You're hustling. You're getting to where you need to be, and you're getting nothing back. That raises a lot of red flags for me, too. So let's see if we can get to the bottom of that one, shall we, friends? Go to stevegruber.com, send me that email. stevegruber.com, send me that email. David is in Buffalo, New York. Lovely place where the snow is finally left, I believe. David, how are you?
Good, Steve. I'm a great fan of yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, the weather here is really pretty bad. But at any rate, I'm a nurse for 37 years, and 20-some out of them I've worked in psych. And I'm finding that basically half the country has gone psychotic. They don't deal with reality. And I've published a book called Hell's ER, True Stories from a Psych ER, taken from a Christian perspective, which kind of puts a lot of light on the situations, you know, that people go through, suicidal ideation and all kinds of things. It'll be out probably in about 5-6 months.
Well, what did you
But
call
at
it?
any rate, I
Hold
just
on,
wanted to
hold
make
on.
an observation saying...
Hold on,
I'm
David.
sorry?
It's called Hell's ER?
Yeah, HELLSER. True
Okay.
Stories from a Psych ER.
When that book
And
comes
it's,
out, I want to make sure you
taken from
send
a
me a
Christian
copy, all right?
perspective.
I want you to send me a copy because I think
Let's
you're right
sign it
about
and
what you
send it
said.
to you, man. I love your show, and I fly home from work to catch your program. But at any rate, I just wanted to make an observation that, you know, the book is basically based on truth. I'm telling the truth, and basically a lot of people have just kind of gone psychotic. I mean, it's kind of bizarre.
They
Half the
have. They've
country
gone
is
nuts.
Like in La La Land.
Yeah. Boys can be girls,
sorry?
girls can be boys. Nothing really matter. You know, morality is situational.
Crazy.
All of these weird things. And you look at
Absolutely crazy.
You look at the influx of
I just wanted to make
antidepressants.
that observation, and you know, I don't know. Insight is something people need to have, and they don't have. That's why an alcoholic's an alcoholic, because
Yeah.
they don't know that they're an alcoholic, and
You're
these
right,
people
David.
just don't have insight. It's half the country. It's just bizarre.
David, thank you for the
business
call.
is good in the psych field. That's all I can say.
Greatly appreciate the call. Hell's ER, a book coming out from David in Buffalo here in a few weeks. David, you can go to stevegruber.com, by the way. Find an email, and we'll hook up and get you an address to send that book. Interesting. All right, we got Kate here in my home state of Michigan. Kate, how are you?
I'm great, Steve. How are you?
I'm lovely. What's up?
I want to distract from the stock market and the other problems that are going on right now, and I just want to say I'm pretty sure with the border crossings down that the fentanyl flow has stopped, and I'd really like to see some stats on the deaths, how much they've dropped.
That's a good question. According to some information I got this week, fentanyl has reduced by half coming in. And that's a good step forward. It's not a solution, Kate, but it's a great step forward.
I know my daughter's cleaning off of it.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's getting much harder to
There's
get.
proof right there. My daughter's cleaning off of it, got herself a little job.
Well, God bless America. You see, there is hope, isn't there, Kate? There is.
There is hope.
All
and
right.
everybody have a great weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Kate, I think you're having a blessed weekend. Your daughter's clean and has a little job, which is far better than the alternative. It's Free for All Friday on the Steve Gruber Show. Man, it has been a remarkably busy week. Of course, the tariffs and back and forth. China, by the way, jacking up the tariffs further to 125%. I read this morning. We'll see where that ends up. But China not backing down. So there will be a full-blown trade war with China. The rest of the world apparently willing to make deals. Vietnam was in Washington yesterday. Their trade representative, their vice president, actually making a deal. We'll keep an eye on all of that. Meanwhile, joining me now, Sarah Parshall Perry. She is the Vice President and Legal Fellow of Defending Education. Sarah, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Now, you filed a federal complaint, your organization, against Indiana University for racial discrimination. And yeah, what's weird here, I just keep reading these stories where there's this defiance to federal law. Whether it's men and women's sports, I just read that the entire state of Maryland is refusing ICE detainers for people that are in jail. I mean, apparently the people in blue states and blue universities think that they can just do as they please regardless of federal law. Tell us about your complaint, but it's an odd place that I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is actually a race discrimination complaint that we filed against Indiana University. It was one of 4 that we filed in higher education specifically. And you're exactly right. We are seeing recalcitrant college administrators. We're seeing recalcitrant blue state governors, blue state superintendents of schools, with all of the missives we've seen coming from the Department of Education and from the White House itself on directing education to go back to ideologically neutral stances to prevent discrimination on the basis of race through DEI or sex through gender identitarianism. We are trying to help wind back the clock. And we are now finding in a lot of unlikely places in higher education some of these racially discriminatory practices. Indiana University itself has not 1, not 2, but 4 race-based scholarships in which they say exclusively they will grant preference to an individual based on their being a minority or a person of color. Well, the Supreme Court's been very clear about the fact that eliminating race discrimination means eliminating all of it. And that means against any individual, no matter what the color of their skin is. In fact, civil rights law and the Constitution are colorblind. But a lot of these colleges and universities seem to have forgotten that.
They do seem to have forgotten that. Some are getting the message. And I go to what seems to work the best, Sarah. Hold the money. If you don't give them federal funds, places like IU, they're in real trouble. I mean, the city of Bloomington will feel the pain in Indiana. I guarantee you that. And so we saw this with some universities. And look, if you want to continue to do this and defy federal law, then go into your endowment. All these universities have multi-billion-dollar endowments. Use your own money. If you think you're so correct on this, use your own money. Don't take federal money. I mean, that's a solution, isn't it?
Well, that's exactly it. And in fact, every one of these publicly funded colleges, and remember, this is so much as $1 of federal funding, but this is significantly more than $1. That is simply the hook to get them underneath the federal civil rights protections enforced by the Department of Education. And they have to certify at the beginning of every academic year that they will follow anti-discrimination law and that they will inculcate race, color, preference, national origin, sex, anti-discrimination complaints, and they will enforce the statutes as they are written, not as they want them written. And the federal Department of Education is well within its statutory right to pull funding. It hasn't happened before, but this may be the administration to do just that.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen here? I mean, I think that the fastest way to compliance is withholding federal funding, which has happened at the University of Pennsylvania and other places for similar violations, similar enough anyway, because they're all violations of executive orders and such signed by Donald Trump, which will, by the way, some of these things are going to be codified in this big, beautiful bill that we're going to see because it affects money. And I think that some of these things are going to be codified into federal law. Then it's no longer an executive order. It is the federal law as passed by Congress. Look, they can only defy for so long, Sarah. I don't see how they can continue to stand up. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, sunlight is the best disinfectant, and we did file another civil rights complaint against the University of California, Berkeley for its race distinction scholarship. It was called the Environmentalist of Color Scholarship. We filed the federal complaint, and 2 days later, they have renamed the scholarship. Now, that's great in theory. It is an initial first step, but we know at least calling out what's transpiring behind closed doors, doing the research into these higher education institutions, discovering incidents of race and sex discrimination is going to be heavy lifting work. And it's going to require a lot of sunlight on a lot of universities, a lot of federal complaints, and we're hopeful Department of Education investigations as well.
Yeah. So you've got a couple of lawsuits out there, UCal, Berkeley, IU. Do you have anything, any others that are potentially flirting with being on the receiving end?
University of Wisconsin-Madison, for sure, is on the receiving end, as are Milwaukee County Public Schools. So we've got a couple in the pipeline. Listen, and the Department of Education's duty-bound to open up and take a look at every federal civil rights complaint that is filed within 180 days. That means this backlog of complaints has to get before the eyes of someone at Department of Education, and they will make a determination if there's enough evidence to go on to open up an investigation and to take it from there. But we are going to flood the zone. This is the way that we get things done. We get ideologically non-neutral, ideologically subjective bent ideas, principles out of higher education. We have worked very heavily for the past 4 years in K through 12. We're excited to be moving into higher education as well, because higher education has been lost. The liberal academy has been lost for a long time. It's time for American citizens, parents, and the mothers of college students like me to help take it back.
I totally agree, Sarah, and I appreciate the work you're doing. Keep coming back and updating us as, look, it's not going to happen overnight. Lawsuits are a process. I learned this a long time. It's a process. You'd think it would be, cut and dried, done in 24 hours. No, more like 24 months or longer sometimes. But we appreciate the time and the effort, and give us an update from time to time. Thank you so much.
Will do. Thanks, Steve.
There you have it. Look, hold the money. That gets their attention every time. Hey, see this right here, this money from the federal government? No. You don't get it. Oh, that'll get their attention, won't it? All right, we'll take a break. Congressman Tim Walberg, not too far away right now. It's Free for All Friday on the Steve Gruber Show. 877-310-9966 is the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. All right, so I watched this just insane crash of a helicopter in New York yesterday. The rotor just fell off. It was a tourist helicopter, family of five,
Randy's
and
gone.
the pilot. Say it again?
Our caller, Randy's gone.
Okay. Well, Randy, you missed your opportunity. Anyhow, so this helicopter crash, the rotor just fell off. And they had gone up and to Fort Lee, New Jersey, and turned around. They went from, all the way up the Hudson, and also and the video. I mean, with no rotor, the thing comes down like a Suburban from 3,000 feet or whatever. It's just ugly. Family of five dies in the crash. Awesome tour, and until this happens. So there's a call for tourist helicopters to be banned. Why would you ban tourist helicopters? Because one helicopter fails to do its job. I mean, that's got to be a maintenance issue. It's got to be. I mean, I don't know what else it would be. To me, it would have to be a maintenance issue. Anyhow, Free for All Friday, 877-310-9966. You're welcome to chime in anywhere along the way. We've got opportunities for you. Congressman Tim Walberg is on his way. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at Wolverine Water, Michigan's greatest water treatment company. WolverineWaterSystems.com. They've been doing it for more than 75 years. Michigan made, Michigan sold, Michigan installed, Michigan neighbors doing it for you. And my good friend Paul will help you out if you need a system. Wolverine, I mean, if your water smells or you've got hard water or your dishes aren't getting clean, you know the deal, right? You need better water, WolverineWaterSystems.com, and you'll have exactly that. We'll take a break and be right back. It is the Steve Gruber Show. I was stunned to learn again from my friends on the left this week that if you are a person of color or a woman, you're not smart enough to get an ID to vote. It's bizarre, isn't it? If you are a person of color or a woman, you're not smart enough to get a picture ID in order to vote because it's voter suppression. My next guest, a little bit smarter than that. Congressman Tim Walberg from Michigan's 5th Congressional District joining me. Congressman, thank you for being here.
Good to be with you. And, I concur with the fact that minorities and women are generally smart enough to figure out how they can vote.
Yeah.
And I would say that for our top officials in the state, that our governor, or certainly our Secretary of State, ought to be able to figure a way to make it possible that we can have a secure election.
So if I'm not mistaken, Congressman, everywhere in Michigan, everywhere in America, in fact, I've checked on this. If you're indigent, if you're broke, you can get a picture ID, a government-issued picture ID, free of charge, anywhere in America, no matter where you may call home. And yet they're saying, oh, it's just not possible. It's voter suppression. Every country in the world, including places like Venezuela, require picture ID to vote. Everybody requires it, don't they?
Yeah, and if there isn't, if we haven't found that, then I think it needs to be done, especially in America.
Yeah.
And frankly, this bogus argument that's out there, which will be easily overturned if the facts are reviewed, just simply says that we want a secure ballot in the United States of America when you vote on a federal election. So when you're voting for president or for U.S. House, U.S. Senate, you have to have a picture ID that's secure, that says not only that you are who you are, but you are an American citizen. And who could be against that? And have a straight
bizarre,
face?
isn't it? You know, I tell you who can be against it, Congressman. The people that can be against it are the people that don't want voter ID because it'll screw up the fact that they're able to shove through illegal votes. That's who would be against it. And that's crystal clear to me. Anybody who thinks that they can cheat in an election, they would be opposed to this. The SAVE Act did pass, though. The SAVE Act will require a person to be an American citizen, for starters, right?
That's absolutely correct, and that's all it says, that anybody can vote who's an American citizen. Hard stop right there. That's what it does. And so people that are saying this is going to hurt women who get married and their name is changed, well, when they do that, get the marriage license, they go through paperwork, they're changing names, it substantiates that they are still who they began life as. They just made a change in their name because if they chose it that way, to have a different name as a result of the marriage. If you don't have a passport, well, you don't have to have a passport. You can do it other ways. And again, when the Democrats are attempting to laugh at the fact that, well, we in the GOP had a great concern about that Chinese student who voted and then was found out, but his vote still counted by the way it's done here in the state of Michigan. And now we find out by pushing our Secretary of State, she finds 15 more, and people are ridiculing. In fact, 16 people voted who weren't citizens. That's all. You're doing all this for...
But,
no,
they told us it was zero.
We may not know all.
Yeah, and
it should be zero.
Yeah, she told us. Jocelyn Benson told the people of Michigan it was zero, and suddenly there's 16. And that's a joke to people? Oh, no. It's zero or it's possible. And if it's possible, it's dangerous. If it's dangerous, we need to stop it. That's pretty simple stuff. I do need to move to the thing everybody's looking at, though. I'm looking at the Dow futures here. A little bit in the green on the Dow, a little bit in the green on the S&P, a little bit in the green on NASDAQ, but it has been a wild week, and I woke up to see headlines that China has now cranked up tariffs to 125%. Some of the tariffs that we've placed on China are 145% right now, Congressman. The market, as we all know, took a lot of hits on Thursday and Friday. It's been bumpy since. Went way back up on Wednesday, came back down. It's whipsaw out there. What do you think of the tariffs? What's our situation?
Well, I still think the tariffs are a tool. In the case of China, it's a weapon right now, and I'd certainly rather be doing it that way than with an armed conflict. But this is a complete changeover. A president who has the guts to say, we helped restore the economies of the rest of the world after the world wars. We did that out of our goodness. We did that out of desire to have a world at peace and growing. That has happened, and it's about time that they reciprocate by not having the amazingly high tariffs that they put on American goods. That's not a show of friendship or appreciation for what we did, and I think the president said we're not going to take it anymore.
Right.
He also was honest about that during the campaign. He didn't lie. He said he was going to put tariffs on until countries changed and treated us fairly. And right now, 75 countries have come to the table and said we want to negotiate.
Including the entire EU, Japan, Taiwan, and others. Okay, so I've got a couple minutes. I want to take and dovetail that to this. One of your colleagues, Hillary Scholten from Michigan's 3rd Congressional District, a Democrat, a couple of days ago, went out and claimed that she's doing these town halls and hundreds of Trump voters are turning out and saying, I can't believe we voted for Trump, we've totally changed our mind. I have not met a single Trump person yet, even those that took it on the chin with the market fluctuations. I've not heard of any buyer's remorse to date. And so I want you to tell me, is Hillary Scholten, do you think she's telling the truth when she says hundreds and hundreds of Trump voters are turning out to her rallies saying they're totally disgusted with their vote?
Yeah, well, maybe there are hundreds and hundreds of voters in her mind, but I think the only voters that would be like that would be so-called Republicans for Democrats, like Republicans for Whitmer, Republicans for you name it. No, I'm not seeing that at all. I'm hearing some Republicans that have a little bit of concerns. They're hoping that this all works out. They've seen their 401k concerns, but in the end, they're saying we would still vote for him because he's doing what has to be done, and we're going to hang it out. So, I've had town halls, and we'll have more. But the only ones that are there are complainers are the Democrats who want a socialist economy to still continue, which I cannot understand after we went through the last 4 years with a Manchurian candidate president who was not in charge and who we have good ideas who was in charge, and they weren't people that believed in the greatness of America or the power of the people of the great America. No, Hillary,
and I understand that, but let me ask you. You said the Manchurian candidate, which I happen to agree with. Looking back, and the more information that continues to tumble out, do you think Joe Biden was legitimately elected president of the United States?
Well, I have to say no. I can't say that. And the reason I say it is that we see the efforts of the other side to cheat, and now they're angry that we're taking the cheating opportunities away.
Right.
So how can you say for 100% certainty that that was a truthful, fair election in the end?
Yeah.
And that's not to say he didn't win.
No, I got you. No. He was installed as president, but was it a legitimate election? And you have the same concerns that millions of others do, Congressman. I got to leave it there. Have a great weekend. I believe you're home in district. Enjoy that. And we will talk soon.
Look forward to it.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Are you ready to retire? All right, well, I want to go to, I want to pick up the conversation where we were with the congressman there. The idea that women and people of color just not capable of getting a government-issued ID. Of course they are. If they operate a motor vehicle, they're certainly capable of doing that. If they go to buy beer, they're certainly capable of that. I think, what do people ID for now? Like anything under 35, or is it come to the point where every time you buy alcohol, you have to give your ID? I think that's where we are.
I think it's under 60. If you appear to be under the age of 60 or 50.
And so do I?
You look great, Steve, for your age.
Oh. Uh-huh.
I mean, what are you? You're
It's
like
Friday. It's Friday. I'm not going to fire you on a Friday. I'll fire you on a Monday. It has more impact. Just keep that in
What
mind.
are you? You're like 150, 200 years old. You've been around. So
Yeah, all right. All right, right.
But
you know the old saying, Anthony, if you keep digging, once you're in the hole, stop digging. Yeah, got it.
Steve,
Anyhow.
you look great, and your health is great.
Anyhow,
We're proud of you.
Democrats think people of color and women are not smart enough or capable enough to get ID and use it to vote. How do I know? Because they keep saying it. Listen to this.
Hey, Senator, I know that also the House today also approved the SAVE Act, a bill requiring proof of citizenship for voter registrations. The president signed a similar executive order last month. That executive order has been challenged legally, but this is a bill now that has been passed by the House. It's going to go now to the Senate. How do you feel on that?
Yeah. You know, there's that saying when this is a solution in search of a problem, this is a classic example of the SAVE Act. What Republicans are doing is, once again, demonizing immigrants for the sake of making it harder for eligible citizens to register to vote and to cast their ballots in elections. It's voter suppression in disguise, not so much of a disguise. Here's the truth. It is already illegal for non-citizens to vote in our elections. Even the very conservative Heritage Foundation has only found, less than 70 instances of a non-citizen voting over the last 40 years.
Oh, please. We found 15 in Michigan from last year. It's a lie. And the fact of the matter is, the number should be 0. We found 15 in Michigan from last year, and it's 70 in 40 years. Look, dude, you can peddle that crap in California, but here in the rest of the country, we ain't buying it, all right? We're not. And how do I know that people can steal votes besides just being illegal aliens voting? Well, here's another example. Tulsi Gabbard, take it away.
We're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
Yeah. The machines can be hacked, which brings me back to what I asked the congressman. Do you believe that Joe Biden legitimately won the 2020 election? He says, I can't say that. I certainly can't say that. I still believe that mass mail-in ballots were the real culprit, but when I hear Tulsi Gabbard discuss the fact that these machines can be manipulated, and we've seen the expert from the University of Michigan, that man's name eludes me at the moment, but he went in and was able to manipulate the machines well before the 2020 election, showed how it was done and how easy it was. Let's go back to a system we can trust, a system where only people like Lyndon Baines Johnson and Mayor Daley could cheat. We'll go back to paper ballots. Well, Governor Huey Long of Louisiana, too. Yeah, there's a few examples. Do you notice a commonality with what I just said there, Governor Long? Then Congressman Lyndon Johnson, who became a senator by cheating, and everybody knows that 1948, look up the primary. It's a very easy story to look at. Mayor Daley in Chicago, the commonality, the common denominator, they're all Democrats. You see, cheating in elections has been an American tradition for Democrats my entire life. You can dispute it all you want, but the fact of the matter is it's all very well documented. From the gubernatorial races in Louisiana to the races for Senate in Texas to the Daily Machine in Chicago. Well documented. Democrats manipulate and cheat on elections. Okay. I didn't make it so, but Tulsi nailed it right there with manipulation of machines. And we know now that people ineligible to vote in Michigan voted. People that are not American citizens voted. And you've got that senator from California, or whatever his name is, saying, oh, it's 40 times in 70 years or 70 times in 40. Wrong. Nobody believes that except people that want to believe that. The same people that believe in the tooth fairy. The same people that believe a lot of crazy things, to say the least. Love to have you follow me on X, Facebook, Rumble. We're live on YouTube now. You can join us there. Unless I just got done for talking about election integrity, at which point I won't be there.
We're still live.
We're still live?
We're still live on YouTube.
Gosh, we made it. And Anthony's right, by the way. I do look great.
Everybody shoot Steve an email at stevegruber.com and tell him how proud you are of him.
Yeah, how proud. Proud. It's the wellness company that keeps me this way. twc.health/Gruber, the wellness company. Great supplements. You can get answers 24/7. You can get subscriptions so that your pharmaceuticals come to your house monthly. You don't have to renew them. It's all there. twc.health/Gruber. By the way, you can also get these. Here it is. These great emergency kits that have antibiotics and pain reliever and medications you can't get in case of emergency. It's all twc.health/Gruber. It's all there for you, my friends. That's right. It's Free for All Friday on the Steve Gruber Show. Patriots relief. All All righty, time to check in on sports with my good-looking colleague, Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. Justin Rose shot a 7-under par 65 to take the first-round lead at the Masters yesterday in Augusta, Georgia. Defending champs Scotty Scheffler, Corey Connors, and Ludwig Oberg are all 3 shots back at 4-under. Round 2 is today at Augusta National. 5 NBA games last night. Winners were Indiana, Detroit, Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Minnesota. In the NHL, there were 10 games on the schedule. Winners included Washington, Florida, Winnipeg, and Vegas. In Major League Baseball, only 6 games scheduled. American League winners were Boston, Kansas City, Cleveland, and the LA Angels. National League winners were Atlanta and Colorado. At college hockey's Frozen Four in St. Louis, Western Michigan upset defending national champ Denver 3-2 in double overtime in one semi. Boston University beat Penn State 3-1 in the other semi. Western Michigan will face Boston U for the national title tomorrow night. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, go Broncos. Yeah, there you go. Go Broncos. Remember to support the companies that support this program. Did you know that scammers can literally steal your home right out from under you? The FBI calls it house stealing. It's a growing real estate scam in this connected world. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on a document. Use a fake notary stamp. Pay a small fee and file it with the local recorder's office or the county clerk. And just like that, your home title has been snatched away, taken out of your name. Then they can take out loans using your equity as collateral or even sell the property behind your back, and you won't even know what's happening until you start getting collection and foreclosure notices because they've changed the mailing address, right? On the refi and so forth. So let me ask you, when was the last time you checked your home title? When I was asked this a few months back, I said, don't know that I've ever looked at it. So the answer was never. And that's exactly what these scammers are counting on. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. And here's what you get. Immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property. Urgent alerts if there are any changes, and if fraud should occur, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. And here's the best part. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you're already a victim and access your personal title expert. Go to HometitleLock.com. Use the promo code Gruber. HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. And you're on your way to being safe and secure in your home. Don't worry, Free for All Friday continues after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, firing on all cylinders and lighting the fuse on a brand new hour of the Steve Gruber Show, live from Studio G. Glad to be here on a free-for-all Friday. I'm Steve. That's why it's called the Steve Gruber Show. You see the relationship there? It's kind of important. Glad to have you here on a Friday. Feels like a Friday. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Detroit Public Schools, despite their horrible track record, are going to be giving out $8 million in bonuses for teachers. Wow. Number two, speaking of teaching, lawyers for Columbia anti-Israel activist, anti-Semitic activist Mahmoud Khalil blasting Marco Rubio for trying to get the guy tossed out of the country. And number three, speaking of that, Rubio and Ashley Moody, the new senator for Florida, say, look, just because you've got a visa, a student visa, doesn't mean you get to come here and trash America. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You are here by invitation only. It's a gift. It doesn't mean you get to come here and dump on America. Stop it. What the hell's wrong with these people anyway? Let's start with Marco Rubio. He says a student visa is not an invitation to do anything you want. Here's what he said.
You know, and one last point I want to make, Mr. President, again, it's under your leadership, it's actually under your executive order. If you come to this country as a student, we expect you to go to class and study and get a degree. If you come here to like vandalize a library, take over a campus and do all kinds of crazy things, you know, we're going to get rid of these people, and we're going to continue to do it. So when we identify lunatics like these, we take away their student visa. No one's entitled to a student visa. The press covers student visas like there's some sort of birthright. No, a student visa is like me inviting you into my home. If you come into my home and put all kinds of crap on my couch, I'm going to kick you out of my house. And so, you know, that's what we're doing with our country, thanks to the president. And last but not least, very important development this week, but both Pam and I were very excited. The finest higher education institution in the United States, University of Florida, is also now the national champions in basketball, and we hope you'll host them here soon, Mr. President. Go Gators.
They're coming.
Good for the SEC. They're coming.
Marco throwing in a big plug for the Gators in their national championship that happened on Monday, so good for him. Here's the story. Mahmoud Khalil still being targeted, but attorneys for the anti-Semitic protester from a different country say the entire case against their client rests on shaky allegations. A memo alleges that Khalil, a permanent U.S. resident in Columbia grad student, served as spokesperson for anti-Israel protesters during large demonstrations, participated in anti-Semitic protests and disruptive activities. His presence in the U.S. would have potentially serious adverse consequences for foreign consequences and would compromise a compelling U.S. foreign policy interest, says a letter from Marco Rubio. 2 pages, that's it, said Mark Vanderhout, one of Khalil's lawyers. Yet this administration wants to silence Mahmoud, wants to silence people speaking out against the government of Israel and the government of the United States. They're trying to toss him out. Federal Judge Jamie Coleman said she will rule today on whether Mahmoud Khalil, can be deported or freed. I'm going to say they're going to free him. Why? Just because I see the activism. Maybe I'm wrong. The Supreme Court keeps coming down and tossing out federal district court rulings in favor of Donald Trump, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that one. Meanwhile, Senator Ashley Moody of Florida says it's time to revoke every single student visa for every kid that came here from China. Here's why. Listen.
I filed a bill yesterday to deny now student visas to Chinese students because China has just passed a law that now requires every national to gather intelligence, including Chinese students here studying, gather intelligence and report back. How do we not pass a law that prevents student visas in that respect? I mean, in the past few years, we've had an explosion of Chinese students that were caught gathering evidence or gathering information on military bases, on college campuses. How do we as lawmakers, policymakers, not do that?
Agreed. If the law in China is you have to spy on whatever country you're in, well, then get out. What am I missing? If you are required by your government at home to spy on me, my neighbors, and my country, get out. President Xi is, by the way, with some real pressure, to say the least, because if he cannot get this whole trade deal under control, China's losing piles of money right now, piles. And right now, the futures on the market show the Dow is going to be up 100 points, S&P up 20 points, NASDAQ up 80 points, slightly in the green. We'll see where it goes today. Maybe we'll have a good day on Wall Street today. I don't know. But China just jacked up the tariffs to 125%. Look, he's in a trade war. The yuan is at a 20-year low. Chinese currency has collapsed, and it's something they manipulate anyway. They can only manipulate it so far, right? And then, boom. There's my. I'm just going to say we should keep an eye on President Xi. Oh, by the way, Anthony, jump to byte 9. How bad is Chinese infiltration in America? Talking about all these things that we just touched on from Ashley Moody. Listen to this.
And look at this map. That I did a show about this. The red is where Chinese government has funded buying major farmland. Yeah. And then superimposed on that are some of our most strategic military bases. Yeah. And you can see there's Dugway Proving Ground. That's military equipment, biological, chemical weapons. They're surrounding it. Utah Test Training Range, the largest supersonic authorized restricted airspace in the United States. Whiteman Air Force Base,
and
B-2 Spirit Stealth Bomber Base, missile drone operation.
Yeah, the list goes on from Dr. Phil. And on and on and on. It's a problem. Here's another problem on a Friday. All right, so if you didn't stock up, you can't say you weren't warned. Bourbon drinkers, pay attention. Anybody who wants an old-fashioned or just likes a little bit of bourbon or whatever. Buffalo Trace remains closed. Buffalo Trace makes a lot of different products and a lot of different brands. But the flooding in Kentucky, second worst in distillery history. And it was pretty bad. So Buffalo Trace distillery spokesperson said it's begun in earnest the assessment, cleanup, and recovery process required due to his historic event. The outpouring of support from Buffalo Trace's community of dedicated team members, consumers, city and county officials, and vendor partners has been incredible and offers to lend physical support to the cleanup efforts that are greatly appreciated. Buffalo Trace will remain closed through Friday, that's today at least. They've also canceled the Easter at the Trace Easter egg hunt planned for the weekend. Yeah, it's a mess at Buffalo Trace. If you didn't stock up, prices probably went up. You were warned. Look, it's Friday. I might have some bourbon today. I just might. All right. Coming up, Doolin. He will not have bourbon today. I can guarantee it. I'll be back. All right. Well, while I was away on spring break in Costa Rica, enjoying 80-degree temperatures and spectacular fishing for sailfish, my next guest was out getting himself ill, but he has wheeled himself into the studio because he is a man, a real man, and a good-looking one at that. Steve Doolin is here, everybody. Doolin?
Thanks, Gruber. As always, I appreciate the compliments. And coming from a poster child like you, I think we're the same age, but we don't look it. So,
well, we wheeled you in from sick bay. You look damn fine, Mr. Doolin. You're doing fine. All right, so something I wanted to ask you about, because I saw this happen again. The Supreme Court turned down a challenge to these New York laws where you have to be of good moral character or something like that in order to get a concealed carry. If I'm reading that correctly, I know you've got the details of it. How does the Supreme Court issue rulings saying that a person has the right to carry to protect themselves outside the home, and then when that's challenged with ridiculous laws, the Supreme Court says, yeah, we're not interested? How does that happen?
Well, as you're aware, most of these decisions are 5-4 decisions, right? So there could be other turning down a challenge at the certification level, certiorari level, sorry. We call it cert, doesn't necessarily mean that it's a ruling on the merits of the statute itself. There could be something else about the case that they didn't like, that they couldn't get the votes to take it up and move forward with it. So you try not to read too much into a failure to take up a case. It's not the same as if it's fully litigated at the Supreme Court. And the Bruin case, which is the case you're referring to about carrying outside the home, was a 5-4 decision. There were dissents, and it seems to be that there's some feeling on the court about reining in the Bruin decision, because arguably Bruin should, read on its face, in my opinion, wipe out most of the 20,000 gun laws in the U.S. And there's a discomfort, I think, on the part of some of the justices with actually giving full voice to the Second Amendment without any sort of guardrails. They use words like guardrails and checks and balances and safeguards, public safety.
Well, they do the same thing to the First Amendment when they pass things like hate speech laws, to be fair, right? I mean, that's a guardrail on the First Amendment. There's not supposed to be guardrails on my ability to insult you, Mr. Doolin. If I was so inclined, I'm supposed to be able to do that in verbiage or in writing or in broadcast, right? But they meddle.
Right. And you still have, in the First Amendment, you still have Carlin's 7 dirty words or 5 dirty words case. I can't remember how many there are. Yeah, 7. So you're right. There's this tradition on the court of going really wide and saying, yes, you've got this right, which anybody who can read knows we do. But there still has to be a lot of discussion, and we lawyers like to argue about every little jot and tittle in everything. And then there's some reining in that happens. So that could be, that sense of reining in and guardrails could be part of it philosophically, but I don't know exactly why this particular case wasn't taken up. So we shouldn't read too much into it. It doesn't mean somebody else shouldn't try again with another case in the future.
Yeah. All right. So meanwhile, I understand the Second Amendment Task Force has been established by Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice. Again, I was out of the country. I actually had no phone service for the most part for 8 days. It was glorious.
I'm jealous.
It was glorious in many ways. I did check some stuff, but by the 8th day, I wasn't even looking. Anyhow, what does this all mean, the Second Amendment Task Force?
Well, there are a number of rules. What President Trump's been doing is executive orders left and right, putting people in place who actually support the Second Amendment, for example, like Pam Bondi, because there are judgment calls and policy decisions to be made in terms of enforcement of law, and because the agencies make rules, the making of laws, right? So, for instance, one of the big ones is going to be this engaged in business rule, which arguably would mean that anybody who buys or sells a few guns in a year would have to get a federal firearm license. And that was wholly made up by a reinterpretation of that phrase engaged in the business that's actually in the law. So it's how the agency chooses to enforce the law, and that's where she can have a ton of impact, and which cases to defend and in what way.
All right, so give me a take on her, because, when she was first nominated, before she was confirmed, I heard some muttering, some mumbling, some grumbling from those in the Second Amendment crowd because they're not fully convinced that she's fully on board with their rights. What say you?
The proof's in the pudding, right? So there's going to be time. I mean, we're still early. These are early days yet. But what's going to hopefully make us all happy that she's there, all those of us who believe in the Second Amendment, is a series of decisions on a number of issues like engaged in the business, et cetera, whether to challenge or support various state statutes, how to weigh in litigation. And it'll add up to, well, we're awful glad we have her. One thing's for sure, she's doing already better than most of her predecessors in the recent past.
Yeah. So hopefully we're heading in the right direction is what you're saying. I'll give you the last word.
It doesn't matter who's going to be put in any one of these positions. There are always going to be folks on every issue who are purists, who have a litmus test, and they will throw the baby out with the bathwater. And so my position on the current Attorney General is, let's give her a chance. She's definitely moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Doolin, I appreciate you, manning up. You're a real man, Doolin, for coming in and not feeling particularly well. I do appreciate it, and I mean that with all sincerity. Have a great weekend. Heal up. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Gruber.
There you have it.
Great to have you back.
Mr. Doolin, thank you. Greatly appreciate that. Free for All Friday. Not too far away. Ivy will be here, you lucky devils. I'll be back. Yeah, like I mentioned here a moment ago, Detroit schools $8 million in teacher bonuses. I guess if your kids can't read or write or do math or understand science, it's time for a bonus. I mean, we all know the numbers out of Detroit public schools are abysmal. Now, look, having said that, maybe there are some teachers that are deserving of bonuses. Maybe there are. But it concerns me greatly to see $8.5 million being earmarked for teacher bonuses when they're just not doing very well. The money for the bonuses comes from the $94.4 million the district received in the literacy lawsuit. In 2016, a group of students filed a lawsuit against the state of Michigan claiming they were denied an effective education while attending public schools in Detroit because they were. Detroit Public Schools Community District Superintendent Nikolai Vitti has made compensating teachers a major goal. In October 2020, he said, "We will continue to work at this until our teachers are the highest paid in the country." Right now, the average salary for a Detroit school teacher has reached $77,000, I guess. in the 23-24 school year, so it's a bit higher than that now, I would say. But here's what I need to tell you. 84% of Detroit students in grades 3 through 8 non-proficient in English last year. 84%. Detroit has repeatedly been the worst performing school district in the country in the National Assessment of Educational Progress. They should look to Mississippi and the Mississippi Miracle. Want to educate people, you start with phonics. Phonics, you learn to read. Phonics will take you a long way. Sound it out. That's what my mother used to say. Mom, how do you say this? Sound it out. Never told me how. Sound it out. All right, I'll take a break. On the other side of this, Ivy is going to be here. Don't go anywhere. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a free-for-all Friday. All right, it's a beautiful free-for-all Friday. My next guest has a glow. It comes from surfing in the Pacific Ocean, I believe. Sunburn turns to glow. Hello, Ivy.
Good morning, Steve. Boy, that would be awesome, right? I could wake up really early and go hit some waves.
Yeah, it would be. Well, we did.
I don't know. I don't think that's a proper vernacular for surfing. Go hit some waves. Get some good drops in. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, so it is. Hey, what's going on? The dogs are excited. I don't know why, but whatever. What's going on with you?
With Free For All Friday, I love to talk about, the dumbest thing I've heard all week. So here's Jasmine Crockett. Let's listen to her and what she has to say here. Are you ready there?
Questioning his mental acuity or fitness to serve is beyond wild to me, right? Like the fact that they sat around, called Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, and as I said before, at least you could sleep at night because you didn't have to worry about your 401k disappearing overnight. You didn't have to worry about these allegations of fake invasions. You didn't have to worry about the
All right, and Anthony, go ahead and go to the second Jasmine Crockett bite. So she says there, Donald Trump needs a mental acuity test. And let's listen to the second one if you have that ready.
realm. So I am telling you that this is a failed thing, but we've got to do better to connect the dots and let people know the reason you can't afford a home is because of these failed immigration policies. The reason you're not going to be able to afford your food is because of these failed immigration policies. And the same can go for the hospitality industries, where we have so many of those in the hospitality industry that are saying they do not have the workers that they need right now.
Okay, so you missed a little bit of the first, which is your mic is off, I think, Steve. So Jasmine Crockett is saying that Trump needs a mental acuity test.
Wait. But did she just say people can't afford houses because of immigration policies of closing the border? How does that?
Yes, people can't afford homes or groceries because of deportations.
Okay, so I'm going to make a diagram.
So I just want to take what she said in terms of the mental acuity test, and maybe we need to apply it to herself.
Okay, here are mortgage rates, right? Point A. And here's an open border, point B. There's no way to get there.
Yeah.
It doesn't even... what? I'm sorry, it hurts my brain to even try to figure out what...
Exactly.
What a moron.
And she talks about, in the first clip there about how, everyone was talking about how Sleepy Joe and that he, at least, they didn't, people didn't see their 401ks draining, which, listen, I understand that people do have a concern about the fluctuating markets. But the reality is we need to get America back in the stronghold. And for her to, first of all, deportations need to happen. We need to get the criminals out of our country. We need to get back to safety and security. I need to feel safe to go. I love to go outside and run. Yeah. I've committed to running a half marathon here in the fall. I can't.
Maybe we should check your mental acuity. Anyhow, go on.
This is true. Which, by the way, I would like to tell everyone, when I first started letting you know that I was going to be running marathons, what you went and did is pull up pictures of runners pooping themselves, because this is what happens sometimes when they run. And you say, look, honey, this is what you're going to be like.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Honey, I'm not sure that's very supportive.
You can't tell people that.
I actually thought it was humorous.
Anyhow, now I'm totally lost.
Anyhow, mental acuity test for Jasmine Crockett. One of the dumbest things I've heard all week.
Clearly.
So
here's
certainly.
what I'd say, though, about Jasmine Crockett. Hey, Democrats, keep Jasmine Crockett out there. Keep AOC out there. Look, if you go back just 20 years, if this is weird, but Ivy, you're old enough to remember this. Bernie Sanders has always been considered a kook, even by the Democrats, which, by the way, he's not a Democrat. And suddenly, he is the standard bearer of all Democrat ideas. They considered him a kook. Mm-hmm. They always, until just recently, all of a sudden, he's the man of the hour. It's bizarre.
If you rewind time 20 years ago, Nancy Pelosi, these leaders in the Democratic Party were talking about how tariffs should be implemented for other countries. And, the list goes on and on and on. If you just rewind time and go find clips of what they said in the past, it is in alignment with what Trump is doing right now.
100%.
It doesn't matter what Trump does, that they have to have some sort of negative thing to say about it. If it's good for the American people, they don't care. They hate him so much, and the MAGA movement, that they'll just get in alignment and completely, no matter if it's in benefit of the American people or not, they'll just, trash talk him. So that's, that's not a big surprise, right?
They will, they'll accuse Donald Trump of being in bed with Putin, which they've done for all these years, and it's nonsense, right? But then they'll climb right in bed with China and the Communist Party. The Chinese Communist, right? The CCP can do no wrong. We should look at what the CCP does. And this is what they say. The worst dictator on the planet right now is dictator Xi, my estimation.
Yeah.
Because he has child labor, they have organ removal, they have
how is America?
The Uyghurs.
How is America and any other, Western country? So let's take
anybody,
the EU, things like that. Countries like that, and how are they supposed to compete against child labor? There's no way. So let's talk about China for a minute.
That's right. There's no way.
There is no way that America can compete with the prices of goods when they have child slave labor, and they also pay extremely low wages, and that we can't compete with that. And that is a purposeful thing that they do. They come into a market. Let's take pharmaceuticals, for instance.
All right, do drugs.
They come into a market. They flood the market with supply, driving the price down to the point where other companies cannot possibly survive. Those companies, and so they do this for the long run, right?
Right.
They look at the long game, even at their own sacrifice in the beginning. They'll drive prices down. Those companies go out of business. Then what they do is they raise the prices back up higher than they were before, so that then they reap the benefit. This is what they did in pharmaceuticals.
That's right. It's what they did with antibiotics. The last American antibiotic company was forced out of business in 2004 because China had bought every other one in the world,
right,
dropped the price through the floor, bankrupted the American company in 2004. It was in upstate New York, and now it's gone.
Right.
And that leaves us vulnerable. I mean, China,
and people are like, oh, China. The Chinese Communist Party does not care
about you.
They care about becoming the world power and controlling all of the goods around the world. And you can see this in their investment in other countries. What is it called? The Silk Road Initiative? Belt and Road Initiative.
Yeah, the Belt and Road Initiative, yeah.
Where they go in, and actually, interestingly, I know we're coming up to the end here, but when we were in Costa Rica, where they were talking about the Chinese ships coming in and literally
doing whatever they wanted,
netting the crap out of all the fish.
Yeah, doing whatever they wanted without regard, because what's Costa Rica going to do about it? Nothing.
Exactly.
We'll take a break. More with Ivy on a Free-for-All Friday here as she outs my dirty little secrets. They were pretty good pictures, by the way. Gotta be honest. We'll be right back. right, welcome. I'm just going to check in on the markets, if you don't mind, Ivy. I do this pretty much, every 10 seconds, as you know. But let's see.
It's like, panic and joy every, 30 minutes.
Hey! In pre-market trading, the Dow's up 200 points, the S&P's up 35, and the NASDAQ is up 133. We're in the green today. Let's hope we stay there anyhow. Ivy's here for a bonus round here on a free-for-all Friday. All right, Ivy, what do you got for me?
So just to I want to wrap it up with China. And people just, I don't think, really understand what's happening. And I'm just going to run through a list. China, CCP, owns farmland next to 19 U.S. military bases. They operate secret police stations on U.S. soil. These are all facts, by the way.
All confirmed, correct.
They hacked telecom giants like Verizon and AT&T, accessing wiretaps and private communications.
Right.
They are flooding the streets.
So they're spying.
100%.
Go ahead.
They are flooding the streets with fentanyl. And they're in
by the way,
our
Fentanyl,
universities.
if I may weigh in on that point, the total deaths from fentanyl that originated in China now is in excess of 1 million people, 1 million Americans. Over the course of time, over 1 million Americans have died.
Yeah, and this is really a problem in rural communities.
It's an act of war.
Young people are dying from these fentanyl overdoses, and it is rampant in rural communities. It is horrific.
Yeah.
And is it Confucian teaching? Is that what it is?
Confucius Institutes?
Confucius Institutes and universities, politics, tech companies, and all over social media trying to influence young minds and everyone's minds.
I wonder what Confucius would say about all of this communism. I bet he would not be a fan. Anyhow, Confucius say communism sucks. Anyhow, go on.
Absolutely. But so, I think Americans need to really sit back and do a little bit of research on this and realize how much is actually going on in America and how much we need to begin fighting back against this, because it is nonstop, their infiltration into the American system and trying to break it down from within. I want to go back to some more of the dumbest things I've heard. Let's play this clip.
And not from me. Anyhow, go on.
No, not from you. From Hakeem Jeffries comes this bite. Anthony, if you want to play that.
Trump promised that he would lower costs, in fact, on day one. But what we've seen under his reckless leadership is that costs aren't going down in America. They're going up. Inflation is going up.
Breaking moments ago, brand new numbers showing inflation fell last month much better than expected.
So this was actually a drop of 0.1%, negative 0.1%. That's the first time we've seen that since COVID. Year over year, the annual inflation rate was at 2.4%. This was also better than expected and a 6-month low, moving in the right direction.
So here's Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah, and it will loop back there. But here's Hakeem Jeffries on CNN talking about that inflation is rising and Americans, are continuing to face higher prices. And then CNN just comes right back in later broadcasts to say, actually, this is lowering. Since COVID, we're actually seeing a decrease in inflation. These are the best numbers
we've seen in a while, 2.4%.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
And this is the level at which Democrats will just lie is unreal to me. They're remarkable. Just dishonest. They don't care. They'll say whatever it takes to make this administration look bad.
When we took off for spring break, oil prices were at about $75 to $80 a barrel. Today they're between $60 and $65 a barrel. OPEC is fighting, so the price could actually get a bit cheaper. What I'm getting at here is that the April inflation rates will be less than 2.4%. And unless Jerome Powell is truly only doing politics and doesn't care about anything else, the interest rates in this country should come down by 0.25% or 0.5% as soon as they meet again. He's not going to do it, I'm going to tell you. But he should, because that would lower the price of mortgages and move houses. It would lower the price of used cars. And if your inflation rate's down to almost 2%, which is their target, then you lower the rate for interest, which helps this country service debt. It helps individuals
Absolutely.
service debt.
Absolutely, 100%. A lot of people can refinance their homes that had to get mortgages at a 7% rate. I mean,
Right.
that is a huge savings over time. So,
Correct.
and
Which they can spend on other things which boost the economy.
exactly. And I have heard some reports that there may be more than 2 or 3 reductions in interest in the next, by the end of the year.
Yeah, we'll see.
So we'll see what happens. I don't think Jerome Powell is any fan of Donald Trump, but we'll see what happens in that regard. So there's one more that I want you to hear, and I want your take on it. Is Nancy Pelosi, I believe it's 2021, when she's talking about how the reasoning behind politicians being able to invest in the stock market. If you have that, Anthony, let's play it.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says no to banning congressional lawmakers from trading stock. It was in response to a question about a report that found dozens of members of Congress violated a law meant to stop insider trading and prevent conflicts of interest. Here's what Pelosi said.
Because this is a free market and we're a free market economy that should be able to participate in.
Yeah, of course you did.
Free market economy. Politicians should be able to participate. And you wonder how these folks have, $100,000, $200,000 salaries per year and they're multimillionaires.
Yeah.
It's like,
Clearly, Ivy, we did the wrong thing with our lives. We should have run for office.
We should have become career politicians.
Absolutely. And had no self-respect or been a lawyer. Sorry, guys. Either one. Sorry, Bob. Esquire Bob, love him. Anyhow, Ivy, great to see you on a beautiful Friday. The weather could be nicer, but here we are.
Love Michigan.
I do
Spring
love Michigan,
to come.
but I hate this part of the year.
I agree.
Yeah,
Mud
April's
season's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst. Anyhow, thank you, Ivy. Love you.
I love you, Steve. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. We're going to take a break and have final thoughts on this Friday in just a moment. Thank you for being here. I want to play you one more comment. It comes from Bobby Kennedy in the cabinet meeting here this week with Donald Trump. He said something quite remarkable, and I don't know that it'll hold up over time, but I wanted you to hear it. Roll it.
And we are going, at your direction, we are going to know by September. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in 10,000 children had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31. That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there.
Here's what he said. Bobby Kennedy says they will have autism solved, not cured, but the mystery solved by September. I don't know why September. He says they've got a bunch of information, and they can figure out the environmental reason for autism. And it is true. It's gone. I believe, my guess, is that it has a lot to do with PFAS, PFOAs, forever chemicals, because as they have dramatically increased in the environment, now they're everywhere, right? The rate of autism has also increased dramatically, and so look. If Bobby Kennedy is right, and we can identify, that's why I say I'm going to be skeptical on this one until he proves it. I'm not going to say he's wrong. I'm going to say I'm skeptical. You can come back with an idea of where autism originates and the cause and the environmental impact and why it happens. If you can solve that, then Donald Trump has done something absolutely remarkable in his partnership with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., making America healthy again. So we'll keep an eye on that. Just want to leave you with some hope on this Friday. Thank you for being here. God bless you. And God bless America. This is the Steve Gruber Show. And remember, my friends, only you. Fight the good fight. God bless America. Only you can save America.